Hi guys, welcome back to Clockwork Noodles, the channel where Becca continues to break down the anime of winter 2021. It's been a very interesting season. Mainly the reason why it's been interesting is this anime. Let's get there in time. If you do not know, hello and welcome, I'm Becca. If you are not already, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel because there is a video now going up in one day. You have one day to find out what my top 3 anime of winter 2021 is and what I am watching reviewing in the next season. After that video goes up, 4 days later, you have my schedule to find out when things are going up and when things are coming out. I can't wait to see you guys across for a new season. I really can't wait to get some new stories, new characters, some new scenarios. I'm really looking forward to the next season. I think spring is my season. There's a lot coming out that I'm very excited for. If you are not already, there is a Discord channel for you guys to join that will allow you guys to stay in the loop. Also, it will allow you to be aware of any delays and if I have any ideas that I want to bounce off you guys. So let's get to this episode. I have issues and I'm just going to talk it through. My thought patterns, why things kind of didn't hit where I wanted them to hit. And this is all coming from an anime only. I feel sorry for the people who know the story, have read the crafted story that is in the manga volumes, and it's amazing. I feel sorry for you guys because this whatever we just saw was a bit of a mess, just a bit. So we actually open with the question I've been asking a few times: is the gatekeeper finally kind of being explained, but not fully being explained? But Minerva was an ex-gatekeeper, and we also have the connection between Peter and Minerva confirmed as them being brothers. So they are brothers of one another, hence me wondering if the surnames meant anything because they were the same. The idea of the gatekeeper isn't fully announced, but from what I'm getting is the gatekeeper is in charge of the way to the human world. And Peter is top, so he is the top dog. He's in charge of everybody. The sisters all listen to him. He's got demons on guards. He's working with the two. He's that kind of middleman. He's the go-to guy. So I'm not entirely sure what he's being paid, why he's taken that role on. That's not all explained. So what's motivating him to do that? Not sure. He does initially at the end mention ancestry, upholding it because that's his duty. That's really all we really get there. Now, Vincent last episode was seen doing some really shady work. He seemed to be betraying the others to Peter. However, no, it's a double bluff. So we were bluffed at the end thinking that something bad was going to happen, but Norman was with him the whole time. So they are setting up a setup, and we've kind of got the double agent being a double agent, and it essentially was all to plan. So Vincent isn't actually going to betray anybody. I'm not surprised, or I kind of felt like they could have drawn that out to be a bit more suspenseful, the way that it was worrying seeing Vincent talking to Peter and it didn't go nowhere. But okay, cool. And then Vincent basically tells us and Peter the entire plan. So how they plan to free the kids. So they're going to use hot air balloons. They're going to use that drug. And that's when I was asking questions like, okay, so he must be lying about something. He lied about half the plan. So he lies about the drug. So they don't actually reuse the drug this episode, and I figured they wouldn't because of how bad it went last time, where we get to see Isabel and she's now grandma, and it's just the really evil face that she's wearing just feels a bit OTT, and after what happens this episode, guess it kind of works that it's a bit over the top evil. She's playing or keeping up an act. My worry last episode was that if Vincent betrayed the others, Peter would then betray Vincent by using him for their information. That is confirmed this episode where he says he basically just wants Norman. I figured that would be the way. I kind of called that would be the sense. So Peter being evil for the sake of being evil. We haven't seen Phil for a while. This moment should have been nicer. It just didn't feel that good because the problem with what I'm about to say, my biggest problem with today's episode is pacing. Pacing. This episode is fast. Like, it's breakneck. 1 minute this happens, the next minute this happens, then suddenly this happens with no explanation, and I kind of feel like I'd like the explanation. So we haven't seen Phil for a while, and Phil is suddenly shocked and scared to learn that everybody is about to go to a new home, which, to be fair, must be terrifying because he has the truth. He knows the truth's going on, But he suddenly doesn't know why everybody's being called because it's a change in the system. He doesn't understand it. So this must be really terrifying. This aspect of him thinking that that's it, they're all about to die and Emma isn't coming and they're not going to get there quick enough and he hasn't had the time because he must have been under the illusion that he had time to act when he now thinks he doesn't. Seeing Sonju and Mujika very briefly, seeing that hidden path revisited, should have been nicer. It just kind of felt rushed and the pacing is just, again, it's just fast. Emma then tells something to the others but not to the audience. I mean, it doesn't really matter because it doesn't seem like it had any effect in the end. Continuing Phil's terror as his new mum prevents him from saying absolutely anything. These moments could have been so much spookier. They could have been drawn out. They could have been really creepy, just replaying on Phil's terror and not giving the audience the entire information would have been great. Just like they did in season 1, because season 1 was king of this. It was really good at making you think things were going to happen, building up that anxiety, building up that hopelessness. They really do actually use the hot air balloons. Okay, we've got a fair few of them. The visual of the sun setting, which is quite nice as always. Sunset means an end of a chapter. It means there's no going back. The red in the sunset is a sign of danger. It's kind of a all go. This is it. This is the action. We're hitting the red lights here. The good point of the episode is the soundtrack. Always love the soundtrack for Promised Neverland, even season 2. I love it. The fact that we start with this heavy bassy guitar riffs, it sounds great. It sets up the slow build for the action where the synth starts to build up and everything starts to pick up as we kick into action. The plan is underway. I'm never going to be giving any bad marks to a soundtrack if it's really well done. We get the visuals mixed with the children who are leaving completely unaware of what's going on, mixed with the hot air balloon, so we get 2 scenes overlaying each other, so quite a nice use there. Again, that's a nice sequence. That's a nice having 2 things layering up on one another. And it turns out that the first balloons are just decoys. So the first ones also confirm to everybody that Vincent is innocent and Peter works out that he has been lied to. The aerial shots as well. I like the aerial shot. The aerial shot actually gives us a look of the entire farm scene. So we actually get to see the entire scale of how big everything is. You can see there's quite a few farms all lined up next to one another. It's nice to see the overlay. I do like seeing how big everything is. It puts things into perspective. Seeing Sonju leaping out of the hot air balloon, awesome moment. Love it. We're just going to gloss over the fact that Sonju initially wanted to eat humans. Now he doesn't. Fair enough, we're going to gloss that over because that moment did look pretty cool. Again, still moving really fast. Haven't really seen Sonju, what's led to him changing his mind or anything. We don't know. The visual of the old destroyed window. This is a really nice visual because the kids are actually on the outside now looking in, but at the same time they also seem caged, which is a bit of a warning as a visual because they are caged within the grid of the window. And it's also the same window from the OP. The switcheroo trick where suddenly the lights go out and the adults go and find out what's going on, where the kids appear in the uniforms to give hope to those kids. I like that moment. That was a really nice moment. You can tell that they've definitely drawn from a well-written manga, and there's some really nice moments where it does work quite nicely. And it just brings hope to the others. It brings hope to Phil. Imagine looking up, suddenly you see a familiar face in the crowd, a family member you haven't seen for quite some time. That is a nice moment. These little bits are nice. Peter starts to realise that it was actually his brother to blame. This is probably one of my biggest sad points, my sticking points for this season. In the first season, Minerva is a mystery. Minerva is leading us along and he's a complete enigma. It kind of feels like it ends up at nothing because he's dead and it doesn't really matter. And sure, you can say that he, even through his spirit and his actions, he gave him a place to stay and everything. But it feels a little bit underplayed. It feels like this line had a lot more potential, but it just didn't. Because at the end of the day, it kind of didn't matter in the end. The game of tag is really nicely done. We can hear parts of Isabel's lullaby remixed into the new track. As I said, the original soundtrack, fantastic. Really like the music to this. And it's also hinting that Grandma is definitely going to be making an appearance soon. Revisiting the game of tag as another way of escaping is really nice. It's a nice tying. But the problem is, at this point, everything feels like it's going too smoothly. This happens, it all goes well. No one has died yet. It feels like it's going way too smoothly, so we know something's gonna go wrong. So the Phil and the Emma reunion, which should be the ultimate tearjerker after reading many chapters, it should be a tearful reunion, but I was so haunted by the feeling that something's going wrong because everything's been going right. It didn't have the same impact on me. I was looking around going, okay, what's going to go wrong? Where are they coming from? I was so busy looking elsewhere. I don't think the impact of Emma and Phil hit me. It needed more time. It needed them looking at one another. It needed spacing out. It needed slowing down. Essentially, it does go wrong as predicted because it's a trap. So the elevator doesn't go nowhere. Everybody ends up rounded up and cornered at gunpoints. Yes, Mamas with gunpoints is terrifying. Isabel, who was terrifying from season 1 without a gun, is now even more terrifying. However, another twist is about to happen, and a conversation of fate leads Isabel to turn her gun on Peter, where we get yet another plot twist within an already twisty anime episode, which is going really, really fast. Still can't forgive her for the leg snap. That leg snap in season 1 made me sick when I heard it. It's that crack, that scream. Can't forgive her for that. Kind of an underwhelming moment considering that this character was so big in season 1 and this is the way that we're bringing her in. Because of how fast it is, it kind of feels underwhelming. That checkmate again gets overruled very, very quickly in a second twist where we've had another twist on another twist. And the reinforcements are now turned out to be civilians. Now, this is a very big unexplained gap. Suddenly, everybody's on our side. Mijika and Sonju, in whatever time we've had, have managed to rally together a lot of people. I feel like because of how fast this is all happening, it just feels like there's not been enough time to do what they're about to do. The fact that they suddenly say they don't need kids anymore as well. This is a huge turnaround. This is a huge 360, and it just feels like it kind of comes out of nowhere. Sonju looking really, really cool though. I have to say the Sonju moments are really, really cool. Having him kicking, but absolutely loving it. Peter just standing there talking to himself kind of feels a bit odd. Like, you've had this really big evil character talking evil, not had any backstory to him, don't really know his motives or anything, and then he suddenly also knows what the evil blood is, but the evil blood is not explained still, so it's currently just an OP MacGuffin, which is kind of leading the plot through. We've not explained it, we don't know what it's about. In one episode left to go, probably not going to get that much explained either. Vilk is a nice touch, bringing him in as leader of the rebellion. That makes sense, but at the same time, it just feels so fast-paced. It doesn't make sense. It kind of feels a bit hard to believe. At the end, we see Peter being offered the hand of freedom by Emma. So what I'm trying to get at with you guys is that there is a lot of really nice moments, but because of how fast it is, it's lost. The impact is lost. And as an anime only right now, I am so confused. I can't explain to you guys how confused I really am. And I'm definitely going to have to hit the manga up at some point. But right now, because of how confused I am, I don't really want to jump to the manga anytime soon because I feel a little bit let down. Season 1 was amazing. Season 1 was just insane. And this season's had some really nice moments. It's got a really nice soundtrack. It's had some really cool elements. But it's so fast, the impact isn't there. There's no explanation at times. Some moments could be cooler if they were just slowed down. They weren't rushed through. With the moment of Phil being absolutely terrified, you could really make quite that creepy episode. Just him not knowing what's going on. Given the whole scene from maybe even his point of view, his perspective, it's terrifying. That could have been a really terrifying moment, but it's just so quick. I didn't really worry about anybody. There was no sense of danger in this episode, apart from perhaps when the guns were suddenly turned on the kids, but that moment doesn't last very long. It all suddenly gets flipped on its head once more, and then you don't really panic too much because you don't have enough time to even process it. It's been a bit of an odd episode. I'm sticking with it. We've got one episode left. As I promised, I'd stick with this one to the end. Confused, a bit let down. We are really forcing an ending. We've kind of gone from episode 1 where nothing's on our side to now everything's on our side. We're going to have to see where the last episode ends us. I don't think we're getting a season 3, so whatever we got now, this is an alternate reality. This is just, I think the best way of looking at it is this is a parallel universe to the manga, and this is everything kind of ending in this world with whatever happens next episode. I hope you guys too kind of understand where I'm coming from. Don't hate me too much for giving that opinion as well, because I do worry about giving too much of an opinion in some of these episodes because it gets a lot of negative reviews often enough, and you guys don't like that, so I try and stick away from giving too much of a personal input. This episode could have been so much more, and I feel like at this point the impact was just lost. So I will see you guys again next week. It is our final episode. I really hope I get to see you guys next season, so make sure you are subscribed. You got a day now to find out exactly what new things I'll be talking about. Have a good day, guys, and thank you so much for being there with me, seeing this one through, and supporting me. It means a lot to me. Have a good day, guys. Bye-bye.